Okay, for the participation activity for this week, we're going to have you modify the heart rate activity or app from previous work and add a second activity to it. Um, so the idea is that you'd be able to click on our list of heart rates, and when you click on one, it would open up a second activity to display more details on it. And this is just to give us some experience opening up a second activity and working with it. You have two options. You can use your code from, I think this is actually participation 6. I'll have to update this from the last unit, or I have some working code also from there that you can use. So um, if you have your code working, that's probably the easiest thing to do because you're familiar with how it's set up and stuff. Otherwise, again, you can use mine. Here's mine here that's running. This is the version before you added more information about each heart rate. So if you're using your version, you're probably not just displaying the pulse, but some other information. And again, when we click on each item, it just right now shows things up here, but we want to open up a second activity when we click on the different items. So that's what we're going to look at now. So we've got, well, let's go here and see. So we're going to create a new empty activity, and then we're going to start that activity when we set the on-click listener, when we select an item from our list. So let's first create a second activity. So I'm in here in my app. I'm going to say new activity, and I'm going to select the empty activity. I can give it some name. It's not really the main activity too, so I'm just going to go call this like art detail activity. It'll create a layout name, and again, I don't want it as a launcher activity because I want the main program to start when the program launches. So all you have to do is change your name if you want and create this. And again, we want to use this, and it's adding this stuff to GitHub. You want to do that also. You do want to create an activity this way rather than just creating a class and a layout, because again, we want this to go in the manifest file so that everything's set up to use this new activity. So we've got this heart rate detail activity and the heart rate detail here. Now we're going to call those. So we're going to start up our new activity as an intent. If you remember correctly, we created an intent here, put some information in the intent, and then started that. I'm just going to grab that code as a starting point. Now I'm going to go into my main activity. So in my main activity, we have this set on item click listener, and this is run when you click on an item in the list. Right now it just says you select and put some information on that screen. I'm going to just leave that code there and create a new intent here. Do some alt enters to import those. And again, this activity name has to be the name of the class. So I called it heart detail activity. So one problem we run into with this is with the context. This first parameter should be the context should be this class here, the main activity class. But we are in um, a listener within this class. I can expand this out kind of to see. So we're in a listener here, and so when we say this, it's referring to this listener and not this the parent class. So what we need to do is change when we say this, we need to say we have a parent variable here, so we want to grab that parent, um, and in the parent we need to get the context. So we can use that parent get context here. Okay, so we've declared our intent. Now we want to do our put extra, and we're going to put our heart rate object in here. So we're just going to say I've got my detailed activity intent here, put extra, and then I'm going to put just my heart rate object here. That's here, and I need to put a string here, a key. So I'm just going to call this my heart rate. Now, right now the object is not serializable, so I got to go into my heart rate object and make sure it's serializable. So if you look here, we want to make sure we do an implement in the heart rate class, implement serializable, and see if there's anything else we need to do there. So we're going to go into our actual heart rate class. This is our heart rate information, and I'm just going to add this implement serializable. Import that up above. And again, you shouldn't have to make any changes because our heart rate's a relatively simple thing. It just has integers and doubles, things like that here. So Java can serialize that as is. So now when we go back here, that should get rid of our error here. So when we put our heart rate in there, we're fine. I'm going to do one more thing here. I'm just going to grab this string and define it as a string constant. So I just declared a static consummated final here, called it heart rate key, and set it also equal the heart rate key. So now I'm just going to grab that and use that in place of this string. I just don't like those hard-coded strings in here. Okay, and then we're going to start up our activity, our detailed activity here. So then we're going to have to set up our detailed activity. Let's go back here. So we make the heart rate serializable. We pass the heart rate activity. We've put extra. And now we're going to want to create some text widgets in our new activity to display information and pull the bundle stuff out of there. So let's go look at our activity. So here's our new activity here. And I'm just going to drag some things in there. I'm going to want to have display the heart rate and the, let's see if I see here, like we display the actual pulse and then a description of that possibly. So let's just do those things. So I've been having you use the switch to like a different layout here, like a horizontal layout. Just so you know, I'm just going to stick with constraint layouts. Constraint layouts, you just have to be able to tie or constrain objects to different locations. So I'm just going to kind of tie these things relative to each other in different ways here. And then I'm just going to make sure, so I'm just going to have two text views, says pulse and range. These are just labels. And then I'm going to have a text view called text view pulse, where I'm going to put the pulse, and another one called text view range, where I'm going to put the range values there. So I've got those set up, and I've got the constraints set up here. Hopefully it'll work okay. So now in my detailed activity here, we're going to have to grab the bundle and put it and get the data from it. So, and I'm also going to put in some code to grab those text views here. Okay, so I declared my two text views here and tied them to my XML. Now I'm going to grab the data that are coming in here. So again, I'm just going to grab this code here. We talked about this. We've got to get our bundle. We've got to grab our object from it and then get some information from that. So I'm going to grab that as a starting point here. So I've got my bundle here. I'm just going to keep it called extras here. And now I'm going to declare a heart rate. I'm going to get my object. I'm going to get from my extras, my bundle here, I'm going to get serializable, and I'm going to find my key here that I used. And so again, the key I used over here in my main activity was this heart rate variable. So I'm just gonna, and I'm gonna just refer to the main activity dot heart rate key to grab that. It's static, so I should be able to just grab it that way. When here I declared that as a static object, so I can just get access to it um, directly through the main activity class. Okay, so I'm going to get serializable to get the object out of that provided the key. I'm going to cast it to a heart rate and declare a variable. I probably shouldn't use HR, should use a more descriptive variable, but for that, but that'll do for now. And so now I'm going to set my pulse, for example. I'm going to say text view pulse dot set text. Not that one, this one. Text view pulse dot set text. So I'm going to set the pulse of this text view here, and I'm going to have to use my heart rate now to get some information. So I'm going to say heart rate dot get pulse. Sounds good. And again, I can text view range. I can set the text there, and I can use my heart rate dot, and do I have a get range? I gotta get range and get range descriptions. I'm gonna get the range name, I think. Here, I could look in my heart rate and see what that does. Get range description and get range name grabs the name and the heart. So this will be resting, so that'll be fine. The description is this longer thing. Okay, so grab the bundle, pull the heart rate from the bundle, and then use the heart rate to get the information from it to display in our text fields. So now I should be able to run this. Okay, so now I'm going to run this app, and I'm going to demonstrate an error. When I ran this, I had an error with this. And one of the challenges sometimes with these activities is the errors you get. So if my app is running, I can click on one of these things. It starts the second activity and works, but oops, yeah, let's see. I've been debugging this a little bit. Okay, we'll rerun this the way I had it. So I have my list of pulse or heart rates here. I can click on one, and now my app closes. It just crashes when I start my second activity. And one thing you can do is you can look down at your run window here, and you can get an error message that happened. And in particular, look for the line that has blue here to your code. So it's starting to, this is the call stack that's going through. It's calling different things, and in the activity class, it's calling the heart rate activity, and it line 24 of the heart rate activity, it's having problems. So this is that heart rate activity here. So that helps you debug. We'll talk about some more debugging measures later on, but that helps. You also can scroll up and you can see the error message. I guess we're just getting unable to start activity here is our only error message that's helping. So then it's a little bit of a challenge here. What I think is the problem is I've tried this with without the pulse with just range, and it works fine, and there's something tied into the pulse here. So if I look in a little more detail at my heart rate detail, I see I have the pulse is supposed to be going here. Text view pulse. I'm going to call that detail because I have actually another text view called pulse on my first activity. So now here, when I'm going to get the pulse information, I want to make sure I get the text view pulse detail here and get the right pulse information. Also, notice I didn't have a toString here, so I put that in here. So now I'm getting the right pulse, putting it in the right place, and doing toString. So now it should display that information. Okay, so we're processing this correctly, and we're displaying the information we want. I'm not too concerned, just so you display some of the heart rate information. I'm not too concerned about which ones. I just want to make sure you're getting that heart rate stuff and displaying some information there. So that wraps up this. Make sure you push, commit, and push this up to GitHub. Now, if you're using your own project, you should submit the URL of where you're pushing this at, because again, it might be the Project 6 stuff. So just let me know when you commit what URL this is being committed to. So for the assignment for this week, I'm just going to have you create a project entirely from scratch, and so we're going to keep it relatively simple. We're do some house modeling, so I'm always looking for an app that just calculates square foot of flooring. So your main activity, just enter in the room width and length, show the results, start a second activity, pass those numbers to the second activity, and display those numbers, and also display the total square footage of those. So just a simple example of an app that uses two activities. Okay, good luck with that.